Hi angels and welcome. I'm your host, Lisa Everding, founder of Earthy Angels, and I'm on a mission to empower women to live authentically and to take exquisite care of themselves. You can find us on earthyangels.com or head over to our show notes to follow us on socials. In today's episode, I want to share with you my reflection and feelings as my friends departed for a trip to trek base camp in Nepal, a trek that I should have been on, but as it turned out, the universe had other plans in store for me. I am so ecstatic and excited for my beautiful friends embarking on this journey of a lifetime. But as it turned out, I had to go through my own inner journey, my own inner base camp challenges throughout the year. And it was only on reflection I discovered that the universe had other plans for me, plans for my highest good. So let's dive into today's episode. Hi, beautiful souls. I thought I would jump on and share with you something that I had been feeling today because, as you know, I'm always raw, open, honest, vulnerable with you guys. And when I have experiences or moments of reflection or clarity or ideas or inspiration, I just want to share in hope that it touches somebody, in hope that it gives you a little bit of clarity or something to think about. And so here I am having some emotions today, mixed emotions of FOMO, but reflection, of excitement for my friends, but also just this feeling of I should have been there, but I'm glad I'm not. In terms of, let me get into it. So today's the day I should be landing in Kathmandu with a group of my friends ready for our base camp adventure. I've seen my friends' excitement as they're preparing to go and I am so happy for them. And part of me feels like I should be there too, but part of me just knew that it just wasn't right for me and I actually didn't really want to go. And it dawned on me this morning that I've achieved everything that I've put out there, but in a different way. I've experienced my own base camp and everything that I had hoped to be searching for on this adventure. I've actually experienced it in my own inner journey of self-discovery. And it occurred to me this morning on reflection, I was in meditation, that having the courage to actually go within over the last 9 months, majority of 2023, this journey has been so transformational for me, just as much as what I was expecting on this 2-week trek through Nepal. So how it all started back in COVID, I did lots of walks with one of my close friends, Kate. Kate's kinesiologist, Lotus Wave flower essence practitioner, and one of the most beautiful souls in the world. And she spoke to me about she had this big desire to go to Nepal. She was going to go, and then a few things unfolded and she didn't get there. And then obviously with COVID, it kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works. And we planned to go in now 2023. Nepal had never really been on my dreams list. Like I've got a big dreams list of different places I want to go, experiences, adventures that I want to have. So it never really been on my dreams list, but talking to her, I love travel. I love experience. I love adventure, and thought, wow, that would be a really cool thing to do. Why not? And then as it kind of unfolded, we were talking and Kate had this idea to take some girls with us and to open it up to both of our communities, her Caitlin Western kinesiology community and my Earthy Angels community, and thought this would be really cool to take a group of girls, Earthy Angels gone wild. I've got a background as a PT as well. And, we can start planning this trek. We can get fit. We can go on these different treks, have the training, and we were really kind of excited by it. And I started to really get excited by visiting Nepal. I'm like, this is one of the most spiritual places on the world. This will take me on a journey of self-discovery, of spiritual enlightenment. And I love nature, and just the thought of getting out and disconnecting from everything seemed like heaven, but I was also freaked out about taking a couple of weeks away from the studio and away from work and away from my family. And so I kind of had this feeling of, I was excited, but I just wasn't 100% sold out on going. And then as it turned out, the universe had different plans for me anyway. At the beginning of this year, I just had a decision. I made a decision. I had a feeling. I was working with a business coach at the time, and I just had this feeling like I wanted to dive deeper. I wanted to go into more spiritual coaching. I just really had this thirst for knowledge, this thirst for wisdom, this thirst for more spiritual development, to level up, to dive deeper. And at the beginning of the year, we were planning a family trip to Hamilton Island, just with my close family, my husband and kids, and my sister and her husband and kids. And not long before I went to, we were going to Hamilton Island, I decided to make a decision to quit with the business coach that I was working with at the time. I loved her, adored her, but I just had a different journey a different path that I wanted to take. And just before we were about to go, I was at the hairdresser and she said to me, Lise, like, do you realize you're losing a lot of hair? There was this one section of hair that it was like I was starting to go bald, develop this little bit of a bald patch. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And I was freaking out that my hair started falling out and it was getting worse. And just before we went to Hamilton Island, I had to pay some of my money to Basecamp. And I just made this decision. I just can't deal with this right now. I'm exhausted. I'm freaking out. I'll just deal with it when I get back, and put off making the payment. And I'd also decided to go and see my other beautiful friend, Jody, who's a kinesiologist and an energy healer. And she also connects with, she's an intuitive medium. And I decided, I hadn't seen Jody for a balance in a little while, and I'm going to go and have this balance before I go to Hamilton Island, because I was feeling so tired and so exhausted. I just really needed a break. And so I made an appointment literally a couple of days before I went to Hamilton to go and see Jody. And anyway, we were going through our balance, and Jody kind of brought up, she said, tell me about Basecamp. I'll just paraphrase. I can't remember word for word, but we were having this conversation around Basecamp. And she's like, so do you want to go? And I said, yeah, I do. Like, it'll be exciting. It'll be an adventure. I love travel, and something that I think would be a really, really beautiful spiritual place to visit. And she said, do you want to go? And I said, yeah, I've committed, we're taking girls with us. So I've committed. I've got my name on it. And she goes, do you actually want to go? And she pushed me a little bit more. And I'm like, yeah, I've put my name to it. Like, it's Earthy Angels Gone Wild. She's like, Lise, do you want to go? And I blurted out, no, before I could even think about it. I'm like, no. And I just started getting really emotional. And I was like, I just am tired. I'm exhausted. I'm freaking out with my hair falling out. My gut is telling me that it's not the right thing for me, but I've made this commitment. I don't want to take, I just the thought of taking weekends away to go hiking and doing all of this on top of my workload and on top of what I'm going through, I actually don't want to go. I'm freaking out. I just want time with my family. I feel like I want a family holiday at the end of the year. I just want to get back to planning my yoga retreats. And I just had a busy year coming up, and it was really freaking me out. And she said to me, you've just answered your question right there. Like, she pushed me to tune into my gut, because with my human design is trusting my gut. And my gut told me this is not the right thing for you, Lise, but I felt like this pressure of I've committed. I can't turn around now and say, no, I can't change my mind. I need to go through with this. And it'll be fun when I get there. It'll be great. But I just had this overwhelming feeling of it's just all too much. And I was just really freaking out about my hair. And like Jody said to me, she said, so what? You can change your mind. If it doesn't feel right for you, you can change your mind. So anyway, I went through this whole process of having to work through releasing the fear of saying no and letting people down, releasing the guilt of saying, I've actually changed my mind. And I knew that Kate was so excited to go. The girls that were going knew Kate anyway, so they could still go along and enjoy this journey with her. But I had to get over my fear of letting people down. And I really just had this desire to just go away with my family at the end of the year. And Jodie's like, I can see you going on a family trip to Bali and just really exploring. And I said, I desperately want to go back to Bali. I want to plan my retreats back for Bali, but I would love to go I just want to hang out with my family. My kids are getting older now. They're like 16 and 18. And I just want to spend a bit of time with them and not be taking people on a trek this year. As bad as that sounds, that's exactly how I was feeling at my heart and soul. And we were thinking about going on a trip maybe to Fiji or just somewhere local with the family. We travel a lot and have been overseas on many big adventures with the kids, taking them to South Africa, Mexico, Disneyland, whole heap of different things which we love. But I said, I just feel like I just want an easy laid back holiday at the end of the year. And we were kind of thinking of going to Fiji. And then as it unfolded, one of my close friends said to me, oh, we're going to Bali at the end of the year for 2.5 weeks. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I got talking to Tom and went, oh my God, maybe we should go with them. And I rung her and said, how long are you going to Bali for? And she's like, oh my God, are you thinking about coming? I said, yes. She's like, yes, you have to come. And I was talking to Tom and Riley and we're like, bugger it, let's go. Like, it's 17 days, but let's just go. And so it ended up unfolding as Jodie had predicted at the beginning of the year, which was, I just see you exploring through Bali with your family. But what the biggest lesson that come out of that Kinesi balance for me was learning to tune into my human design and learning to follow my gut. I was ignoring my gut. And so anyway, I went along to Hamilton Island. I desperately needed a break. And it was really funny. When I was in Hamilton Island, we went over to the reef and we decided to take the kids over for a day of snorkeling over to the Great Barrier Reef. And on the way back, I was sitting down. It was a massive day and we were sitting down and we had like a row in front of us and the kids were kind of off to the window. And I sat down just with my sister and my book. I was so excited to dive into my book, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. And I sat down to read and this beautiful woman sat across from me and I'm kind of looking over, she was on her own and I'm like, I really should speak to this woman. But then my kind of mind kicked in and went, no, you just need to sit and read your book. And I just wanted some peace and quiet, to be honest. And then as I was kind of sitting there, I'd glance over and I'd go, something inside me said, you need to talk to that woman. I'm like, no, I would shut it down. I just need a break. And then it popped up again, talk to that woman. It's like this internal dialogue going on in my head. And before I knew it, I was like, hi, how was your day out on the reef? And we got talking, this beautiful woman, Kira, and we exchanged socials. And it was later on that I was kind of stalking her socials. I was like, oh my gosh, she's like an intuitive medium. She's a spiritual coach. She has, because we just struck up a conversation because she heard me talking to my sister about women's circles. So then we ended up talking for the rest of the trip back into Hamilton. And as I was stalking her socials, I'm like, wow, like this woman looks really cool. I must contact her. And anyway, we become friends. We sort of started chatting and just connected on socials. And she was one person that was meant to come into my life. I put out at the beginning of the year, I wanted like a spiritual coach. And there she kind of appeared on this trip, right? That I just met her randomly. But that's the way the universe works sometimes. So anyway, we returned from Hamilton and then I started connecting the dots. I started really investigating. I was freaked out by my hair loss. I was freaked out by what was going on. It was getting worse. And I went and, did all sorts of blood tests, all sorts of different things. And I started connecting the dots that I think my hair loss might be related to my implants. I'm not going to go into all of that now. I'll do that in another episode, but I was a mess. I was like, I'm really sure that this has got something to do with it. I'm sure that there's a connection. There was lots of signs that pointed to it. And I just started becoming so upset. So I was freaking out about, oh my gosh, what if there is a connection? I need to take off time off work. I don't want to go through surgery. How's this going to impact my body? Like, I teach, my body is my work. And I started having all of these thoughts of fear, but I subconsciously knew that I think there's a connection. I asked Jody for a kinesiology balance as well. And she said, yep, that's fine. But honestly, Lisa, I think that this is something you need to do for yourself. I wanted to go to her for answers. I wanted her to tell me yes or, no, this is the cause. And she kind of put it back on me and said, you need to learn to trust. Like, you need to go within. You know what you need to do, but you just don't trust yourself. And so I kind of went, okay, I need to sort this out for myself. I went to a kinesiologist, and when I went along to the kinesiologist, she said to me, you've got, not kinesiologist, dermatologist. When I went and saw the dermatologist, she said to me, you've got alopecia, it's an autoimmune condition, and the body is attacking itself. And I thought to myself, no, I don't have an autoimmune condition. I was a mess, mind you. I was so upset. And I'm like, no, there's something more to this. And I followed my signs. I followed the synchronicities. I'd been working with my oracle cards. I had stumbled across this breast implant illness group, and I had discovered that so many women in this group had hair loss and had alopecia, and their hair grew back after removing their implants. So I kind of had this inner knowing, this intuition that my implants are the cause of my hair loss, and I've known for a little while that I needed to get them taken out, but I didn't want to do it because it's surgery, right? It's time off work, all the things I was afraid of. And then I felt like the universe I hadn't been listening to the universe, and now it was trying to get my attention by having my hair fall out, and I need to really start paying attention. I just knew it was what I needed to do, but I had so many fears. I had fears around what am I going to look like without them, fears around going through surgery, fears of time off work, fears of the impact that it's going to have on my business, fears of how's my husband going to see me, which he would never worry about that. But all these things like start running through your mind. And I just had such an overwhelming feeling of fear. I was a mess. I was so upset, but I just kind of knew it's what I needed to do. But I was afraid. I was afraid to release that part of me because I'd become attached to them. I'd had them for 12 years. And I'd felt like kind of in my body, like my hair and my boobs are one of my assets. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm losing them both. And I feel I was stuck in the ego, right? I was really stuck in the ego and attachment to self. And I had to make a decision, and I had decided this is what I need to do. And I decided to take them out. And it's like almost the moment I decided to take them out, my hair started to grow back. And I went through months of inner work, of self-acceptance, of self-love, of facing fears, of connecting to source, of meditation, of releasing my attachments, releasing my attachment to my implants, like through massage and lymphatic drainage massage and clearing and writing and kinesiology and tears. Like, I went through such an inner journey of self-discovery and learning how to connect with my intuition, learning to trust myself, learning to own my gifts, that I have everything I need within. I worked through with flower essences from Kate, one in particular, Sacred Heart, which is all about hope and resilience and transmutation, and really had to open my heart up. And I even I did a spiritual coaching session with Kira, who I met on the boat in Hamilton Island, and learning to open up, learning how to trust myself, having the courage to go within, to go deeper, to strengthen myself. And I went through an inner child release with her as well, I had this real block about the spiritual work. I knew it all worked. I've done this for myself and it just kept getting stronger and stronger over the years. But with me running a business and with me sharing so much on social media and so much with my community, I had this fear about the weird stuff. I had this fear about really putting out there what I do spiritually is weird. Are people going to think I'm weird? Are people going to look at me in a different way. And so I had to really get over this feeling of the spiritual stuff is kind of weird, it's hippie, but I believe in it. And I really had to get through that. So I had the courage to put myself out there and be truly authentic and really show up as my authentic self and really own my spiritual path and have the courage to share it with my community and have the courage to put myself out there open and vulnerably. And so I went through this whole journey throughout the beginning of 2023, and around June we had a trip to Malta. Now Malta is I had dreamt of going to Malta. My grandfather is Maltese, and it's been in my dreams list. I've got 100 dreams list of, it's more than 100 now, of all these things I want to do, places I want to see, have this massive dreams list. And Malta has been on there. On my vision board, I have a photo of the Blue Lagoon, this beautiful photo, this beautiful place that I wanted to visit, and it's been on my vision board, and I look at it every time I turn my computer on, and I manifested this trip, right? We ended up going to Malta. My husband's partner's in an aircon business, and their trip to with one of their aircon suppliers was to Malta for the year, and I was so excited to go on this trip, and it was one of our first trips back. We've done a lot of travel, and it was one of our first trips back post lockdown and the world shutting down. So I was so excited. And leading up to this trip, I went through so much clearing and so much self-discovery around my ancestral roots. I went through healing from past trauma that had been carried through generations, and I can't explain it. It's once I opened myself up to receive, once I opened myself up to learn to trust in myself, and that I don't need to go and see somebody else for these healings and to up level, that I have all the gifts that I need within. It's all of these healings, these gifts, this self-discovery, this wisdom, this intuition just started pouring through me this year. And so then I went and spent time in Malta. I had the most incredible time. I was freaking out at the beginning of the year, I'm going to go diving in the Blue Lagoon and I'm going to have all these bald patches in my hair. And as it turned out, it all started growing back, which I was so excited about. But it was a real journey back to my roots, one of the most incredible trips to my life. And I knew that when I come back from that trip, I had my surgery booked in 30th of June, end of financial year, was kind of the closure of that part of my life was coming up. But I'll go deeper into that in another episode. And so I went through, I got my implants removed, and it's funny, I wasn't, hand on my heart, I wasn't even scared. Going into surgery, I was not scared. I felt like that it was just part of the process. The actual surgery was just part of what I had to do. It was tick, next box, because I had done months of inner work, releasing my attachment to them, upper leveling, and just really diving within, that it came to such a big surprise for me that I handled it really well. Even in the recovery, I could honestly say it was easy. There was just a couple of tears. Obviously, there's still things that you go through. But I spent 6 weeks off in winter. I was going to take 4 weeks off. I spent 6 weeks off, and I just really let myself dive into nourishment. I let myself dive into healing. I nourished my body on every single level. I was so pure with what I was eating, with what I was drinking, with my meditation, my grounding. I eased back into just gentle yoga at home, my breath work, my just sitting in silence, my being, my connecting, giving myself time to just wake up in the morning and not have anywhere to be and just really enjoy, waking up, not putting any makeup on, just really going back to the roots of who I was. And I developed this real radical self-acceptance. It came in the most beautiful divine time that I could not have planned. It just unfolded that way. It was in winter, and it's I went through this period of hibernation and healing, and I just retreated from the world. And I would so hard to explain, I would look in the mirror, and even though I had these physical scars, I felt so beautiful. I felt so accepted. I felt like I really stood in my power, and I emerged a completely different woman to who I was at the beginning of the year. I was more powerful, more strong, more confident, more radiant. And I just had this inner knowing that I had to share my journey, that I had to empower other women to open themselves up to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to be raw. But I had to go through that process first. And then I'm at the moment, like I'm 3 months post-op. I've obviously returned back to work, getting back to my normal self. And well, I'll never be normal. I'll never return to my normal self. But you know what I mean? I'm back to kind of moving my body and feeling good and feeling confident and strong again. And it dawned on me today, watching my friends depart for their trip to Nepal, that I haven't missed out. I have had this 9-month journey of my own inner base camp and discovered my spiritual awakening by going within. I didn't need to go and leave the country. I didn't need to go anywhere for more enlightenment and for more awakening. And I had done this by having the courage to go within. I had to have the courage to learn to trust in myself and to stop seeking outside myself for answers. I'm one of these people, like, I want to take on the wisdom, the knowledge. Like, I want to listen to podcasts. I want to read books. I want to dive into as much knowledge and learning as much as I can. But I needed to put all that to the side, and I just needed to surrender and just open myself up to what was unfolding before my eyes. But I actually discovered that I didn't need to go to base camp to do that. I needed to experience my own inner journey. I needed to look within. I needed to discover my own authenticity and to learn to love on who I am without my implants, without all of these things that we get attached to, without society's expectation of having to look a certain way and to be so-called perfect, and just embrace my weirdness, have the courage to really put myself out there and just embrace what I offer the world and love who I am and love what I offer, and just have the courage to do what lights me up and follow my human design, follow my gut. It equipped me. This whole journey I've been through this year has equipped me to lead, to be a better leader, to inspire more women. And this has been a different journey to what I had expected. I've had months of wisdom, months of personal self-experience, and I developed my own intuition. I received downloads. I had visions. I had this connection to source. I discovered that I had the power within to heal. I discovered the power of my own energy, the intense feeling of energy that pulsates through my body. I have just discovered that on such a different level. And at the beginning of the year, I felt like I had to go to Nepal to discover these things about myself. And what I discovered was they were inside me all along. I just needed to surrender and trust. I did not need to go anywhere else. I just needed to look within. And I want to share with you this oracle card that I pulled this morning, and it said, I won't read the whole card because it's very long, but I just pulled parts of it. And it said, as part of your spiritual training, your soul learned to be open, to receive guidance, and to channel healing. This is what you needed to be able to do, to function as a healer, as a channeler, as a light worker. You've had to be sensitive, receptive, and open. And now is the time to balance that with resilience, with strength and divine stubbornness, refusing to give up on who you are whilst remaining open to guidance is the balance of loving wisdom necessary to grow yourself as a divinely unique individual in a world that often fears true individuality. You're here to shine a light and be the lighthouse for others. Don't be afraid to use your light in all ways possible. Amplifying your inner light is a way to tap into your creative consciousness. Then what you generate in this world through your thoughts and actions is that which increases hope, goodwill, happiness, and peace in the world. And I was reading these cards this morning and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is exactly what I needed. Sometimes the universe gives us what we need and not what we think we want. It's only in hindsight that we understand that even though sometimes we go through a difficult time, it's in hindsight when we look back and we put the pieces together. You're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense now. I actually needed to go through this. This was part of my path, and I'm grateful for that. I'm honestly I'm honestly not disappointed to be in base camp with them. You know, they're going to have the best time and I can't wait to hear about it. And I know that parts of me are going to think, yeah, it would have been great. It would have been fun because I just love adventure. I love travel. I love experience. But so much of me is so excited and so lit up by what I have in store for my own trips in the next 12 months and my upcoming travel, my upcoming adventures. And I'm so excited by the journey that I have been through. At the time, was I excited? No, I was freaking out and I was a mess. And I did not think at the beginning of the year when I was looking at what was coming ahead in the year, I did not think I would be having my implants removed and going through one of the biggest spiritual transformational journeys of my life. I thought I'd be doing it by exploring Nepal. I thought I'd be doing it by trekking through base camp. And that was where I was going to have this sort of spiritual awakening. But I discovered that we just need to let go of attachment. We need to let go of predicting and controlling the how and how things are going to unfold. And just let go of having to know all the answers. But it's powerful putting out there what you want, putting out there, asking for what you want to receive and believing and trusting and that it's going to show up in the best way possible for you. I did not think at the beginning of the year that this was how my journey was going to unfold. I put out there at the beginning of the year that I wanted a deeper connection with myself. I wanted more spiritual coaching. I wanted to level up. I wanted to get to know myself on a deeper level. I wanted to become a better woman, a better mother, a better wife, a better teacher, a better business owner, all of these things that I knew I had to go within to do that. But I did not think that this was how my journey was going to unfold. But I know that when you put out there what you want and you surrender and you hand over to the divine and then you hand over to this knowing that there is a divine plan and your part in the co-creation with the universe is to just be your authentic self, is to just trust in the unfolding, that it's going to be for your highest good. It's going to be for the highest good of all, and just learning to surrender. And that's the hardest part, right? Like that's honestly one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're going through a journey. It's challenging, but I have learned on this journey to really, my oracle cards are my best friends, and just learning to trust myself. There was not a lot of people that I spoke to about this. It was more of just learning to talk to myself and talk to my inner wisdom and to my intuition. And often that is something that we overlook. We always look outside of ourselves for answers. We look to others for opinions. We look to others for wisdom, for answers, for guidance when we have all the answers we need within. But sometimes we just need to get out of our own way and to just trust in the unfolding. So I wanted to share that with you today. I wanted to kind of share with you those mixed emotions, but also when you kind of have something come up for yourself and you kind of look a little bit deeper and you reflect on it and go, what do I need to learn out of that? What is something that I can take away from that? I honestly took away from this morning's feeling of that little bit of FOMO, feeling of, I could have been there. Just learning to look back and go, this was exactly what I asked for and this is exactly what I received, but it did not unfold in the way that I had intended or the way that I had planned. But honestly, it was the biggest transformation of my life, and I've gone through it in 9 months as opposed to 2.5 weeks trekking through Nepal. Will I do it one day? Maybe. Will I might not. I don't know. I don't need to know. All I can have control over is the now and just gratitude for what I have experienced and gratitude for what I've been through and gratitude for the woman that it has grown me into, that has made me evolve into. And that's what I want for you as well. And I hope that you took something away from me sharing this bit of insight and perspective and experience. And I always come with the intention to maybe just spark something in someone else out there, maybe spark something in you that you needed to hear. Maybe if there's just one thing that you needed to hear in today's episode, I hope that you took that away from my sharing. And if you'd like, you can subscribe, you can share your comments, share any feedback. I would love to hear from you. And on that note, I will love you and leave you, sending you so much light, so much love, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a beautiful day, angels. So much love to you all. Mwah. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode and want more, feel free to follow or subscribe on whatever platform you listen to. You can also head over to earthyangels.com or join our private Facebook group, Earthy Angels Connect, for more community, blogs, updates, inspo, motivation, support, and to connect with a tribe of like-minded souls. And if you have a moment, we would be super grateful if you would love to leave a review. Sending you so much light and love, Angel.